Ranking your favorite roller coasters is a topic that many coaster enthusiasts make YouTube videos out of, but ranking your favorite amusement parks is something that is definitely less common. In today's video, I'll be breaking that stereotype and we'll be ranking the top 30 parks I've been to. Something that you should already know about me is I absolutely love my theme parks, arguably more so than amusement parks. For those of you who don't know the difference, think of a theme park more as a Disney or Universal style park, and an amusement park more of a Six Flags or Cedar Fair park. Although you don't come across these enthusiasts often, I am a massive fan of all of those. I think what defines a good park, regardless of the genre of park, is a good overall ride lineup, great atmosphere, fast operations, good food offerings, awesome customer service, and etc. Those, along with many other criteria, is what I'll be looking at for my rankings of the top 30 parks I've been to. With that being said, don't expect a pitch-perfect order, as ranking parks is a million times more difficult than ranking coasters. There are dozens and dozens of things that make a park great, and so to take all of them into account and stack up against each other is quite challenging. Nonetheless, I think I've done a pretty good job, so I hope you guys are all satisfied with the result. Do know before we get in that this is all my personal opinion, and also that if you guys would like to support the channel, dropping a like on the video and subscribing would mean the world to me. But other than that, I think we've gone over all the key information, so without further ado, these are the top 30 theme parks I've been to. Number 30, Adventureland in Altoona, Iowa. Iowa's largest and one of their only real amusement parks can be found right outside of Des Moines and actually caught me quite a bit by surprise. The park has its fair share of quirks and uniquenesses that differentiate it from other parks on this list. But most importantly, it's got a good selection of rides, it's fairly beautiful, and it's got some great staff. All of the ride operators I encountered at Adventureland were both super nice and tried their best at pumping out trains quickly. Back on the topic of rides though, the reason thrill seekers will want to come out here is for Monster, which is the best Gerstlauer roller coaster anywhere on the continent. I also got a real kick out of Dragon Slayer, Outlaw, and their raft ride, Sawmill Splash. The last thing that's worth mentioning is that this park has a unique atmosphere, as it was designed by the same people who have designed the entrance and Main Street area of Disneyland. It's seriously bizarre walking in and seeing a knockoff Main Street USA only to find that there is no castle in the middle. But anyways, this is a super fun park. It's not really easy to get to if you're on a coaster road trip, and especially if you live nowhere close, but it's worth it to get out here, and I'm almost certain you'll have a good time. Number 29, Six Flags New England in Agawam, Massachusetts. This is what I describe to be the most Six Flagsy of the Six Flags parks I've been to. Sections of the park feel less taken care of than others, park policies are inconsistent from ride to ride, operations are either great or terrible, and yeah, that kind of thing. My first experience here was an odd one too, since the park had been shut down 2 days prior due to a nasty storm in the town. Funny enough, it was still raining all day on our visit, but the park did an excellent job getting all their coasters back up and running, and they seem to be running 2 trains on mostly all their coasters too. With that said, they still do stack most of the time, which definitely isn't something you want to see when the sky is pissing on you, but it wasn't the big deal because there was no lines. And even with my first visit being an odd one, I still had a good time here though. Wicked Cyclone and Superman the Ride are going to be your 2 signatures here, both of which are roller coasters and are absolutely awesome. So I definitely recommend hitting this park up if you're in an area or on a road trip, but I wouldn't go too far out of the way to come here, especially if you have the choice to go here versus something like Six Flags Great Adventure in New Jersey. This is a really good park, but not a great one, and at the end of the day, that's all you can really say about Six Flags New England. Number 28, Enchanted Forest in Turner, Oregon. I bet none of you saw this one coming. I got to visit this park in 2018 and had a great time here. They may be lacking in rides and roller coasters, as they only have 3 to 4 that are noteworthy enough to ride. These include 2 very unique coasters, Timber Mountain Log Ride and Ice Mountain Bobsleds, and the Challenge of Mondor Dark Ride and Haunted Mansion walkthrough attraction. Other than that, you'll probably want to put the rides aside and focus on the park itself for basically every other aspect. With it being a classic family-owned amusement park, the charm here is unmatched, and I'd argue the atmosphere is the best of almost any park I've been to. Some of the sections and walkways make you think you aren't even in a theme park and instead make you feel like you're in the Land of Oz or something. When you enter the park, the first thing you'll see is a fairy tale-like castle in which you enter and make way on a long walk past tons of walkthroughs and theming related to nursery rhymes. It's something I've never seen in another park, at least to this extent, and for that alone, it's worth coming out here. If you're ever in Oregon for any apparent reason, you've got to do yourself a favor and support this independently owned gem. Number 27, SeaWorld San Antonio. I really wasn't expecting to like this park as much as I did, especially because roller coaster enthusiasts tend to hate on this place more so than praise it. They say it's got more space and land that they know what to do with, and that they're lacking in a good ride lineup. Personally, I think both are false, and I'd go as far as to rank this park over the likes of SeaWorld Orlando and San Diego. It could be because I visited this park during the Christmas event, which was absolutely incredible, but the entire park seemed to be very well taken care of, and in the dead spots you could tell that they're trying to fill stuff into the best of their ability. Building Wavebreaker, Texas Stingray, and the world's largest SNS Freeman Swing next year has been an excellent start, and all 3 of these rides are awesome too. What also may be of interest in terms of rides are Steel Eel, the park's Morgan Mega Coaster, and Great White, the B&M Invert Batman clone, which are both tons of fun as well. More importantly, you can't talk about SeaWorld without bringing up the animals. As with other parks in the chain, SeaWorld San Antonio has great shows, exhibits, and wildlife interaction. Of course, I mean, it's a SeaWorld park. So I know this park gets overshadowed by the other great parks of Texas, but nonetheless, I cannot recommend a visit here any more than I already have. It really is a great park. Number 26, Lagoon in Farmington, Utah. This independently owned amusement park can be found just north of Salt Lake City in a small outskirt called Farmington. This area is most well known for boasting Utah's largest and only real amusement park, and although the state doesn't have a lot of options for thrill seekers, Lagoon definitely has its strong suits. For starters, this place has a fantastic overall ride lineup. With 10, soon to be 11 roller coasters and their star attraction Canobie, this alone is enough of a reason for Lagoon to be put on the map for enthusiasts. They also have a nice selection of flat rides such as Samurai, which is currently my favorite top scan attraction, and Flying Aces, which is one of the best flying scooter attractions in the US. Additionally, you can find some great water rides like Rattlesnake Rapids and Log Flume, and some above average classic dark rides in Terror Ride and Dracula's Castle. So clearly, as you can see, Lagoon doesn't really have any dead spots in their ride collection. I also enjoyed their classic yet quirky atmosphere, and the park is gorgeous with a stunning mountain backdrop. As I said earlier, thrill seekers may struggle to find decent options in Utah, but the one really good one is Lagoon, and I can ensure that you'll have a great time at this awesome park. Number 25, Silverwood Theme Park in Athol, Idaho. Marketed as the Pacific Northwest's largest amusement park, this is another independently owned and operated park situated 30 minutes north of Coeur d'Alene. Silverwood, to me, was a prime example of a park that isn't going to blow your mind, but still checks off all of the boxes for what makes a park good. Currently, the park has 7 roller coasters on offer, including Stunt Pilot, their new for 2021 Rocky Mountain Construction Raptor coaster, which is my personal favorite ride there. What you may have also noticed is that Silverwood does have less coasters than Lagoon, but still ranks over it, and that's just because coasters aren't everything. But even with that being said, I think I'd still take Silverwood's lineup over Lagoon's. I find that this is a very quality over quantity oriented coaster collection. The big 4 coasters here and the reason coaster enthusiasts make the trek out to Silverwood are absolutely incredible, with Aftershock, Tremors, Timber Terror, and the aforementioned Stunt Pilot. Some more things I love is that the park seemed very well taken care of and very well landscaped. With it being in Idaho, it's also going to smell pretty fresh, and it's just in a beautiful environment. Another thing I love, the park has super solid food options, and how reasonably priced they are is actually beyond me. It's not just food either. Really, most everything at Silverwood is fairly priced, which means a lot to me after traveling to so many amusement parks that charge a hefty fee on things. So sure, Silverwood is pretty out there and is an unreasonable option if you're on a coaster road trip, but if you are anywhere remotely close or have a desire to get out to the park, I'd absolutely recommend taking the chance because it'll make for a super fun visit. Number 24, Six Flags Over Texas in Arlington, Texas. For being the original Six Flags park and opening way back in 1961, this place is actually pretty great. First of all, it's conveniently placed right by Dallas, which is 3 to 4 hours away from any other major amusement park in Texas, but that can make for a quick layover park or day trip out. But the big question is this worth it? And to that, I'd for sure say yes. The park has a nice atmosphere with some cool Texas charm and has a great ride lineup on top of that. For roller coaster fans, look no further than New Texas Giant, Mr. Freeze Reverse Blast, Shockwave, and Titan. Those are the big 4 rides that you're going to want to make sure to get on if you have a time crunch. The park also does have a strong collection of flat rides with the Riddler Revenge Giant Discovery, Texas Sky Screamer Flat Ride, Superman Tower of Power Drop Tower, and Harley Quinn Spinsanity, which probably looks better than it rides. If there is one critique I have with this park, it's that they could up their game on the food offerings. It could have been possible that we just didn't know where to go, but we eventually settled on ice cream as a meal because we didn't want to have to search around for something decent. Unless those of you over Texas home parkers have any suggestions, I would personally recommend BB Steakhouse, which is a restaurant right outside the park, and it is absolutely delicious, though it is really expensive. But anyways, that was kind of off topic. Let me just say that this is a great Six Flags park overall, definitely one of the top 5 I've been to from the chain. Number 23, Universal Studios Hollywood in Universal City, California. We've all heard this name before and we all know what it is, but it seems to get dramatically overshadowed by the other parks in Southern California. In terms of roller coasters, this is understandable, you just don't come here for the coasters. Currently they have 2, being Revenge of the Mummy and Flight of the Hippogriff, and these are enjoyable rides, but they're definitely lacking a true standout here. But put the coaster lineup aside and do appreciate what the Hollywood park does have on offer. For starters, it's very well taken care of with super fast operations, sufficient employees, solid food and drink offerings, and a world-class show variety. This is already a great start. Some more things I love about this park: Hogsmeade, aka the Wizarding World of Harry Potter section, is outstanding. It's nothing that you can't find at some of the other Universal parks, but it's still easy to appreciate with a ride on Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey and a sip of frozen butterbeer. Also, the Studio Tour attraction here, which you can only find at this park, is absolutely fantastic. It's an hour-long tour that takes you behind the scenes of your favorite sets and movies with tons of things to look at and 2 miniature rides in itself. So from the outside, it makes sense why you want to pass up on a visit here. It's just so expensive and there's so many better options in the area, but I can definitely look past that and say that this is a rock solid theme park in its own right. It may not touch other parks that place higher on the list, but it's still great, and that's something you've got to appreciate about Universal Hollywood. Number 22, Six Flags Great Adventure in Jackson, New Jersey. So this is a fairly legendary park, primarily based off of their roller coasters. With 14 total, Great Adventure has one of the best coaster lineups in the world, with some options including El Toro, which is arguably the best wooden coaster on Earth, and King Ka, which is the tallest and second fastest coaster in the world. In addition, Jersey Devil Coaster opened at the park just this year and is the tallest, fastest, and longest single rail coaster anywhere. In terms of non-coasters, there are some fun offerings like Zumanjaro Drop of Doom, Wonder Woman Lasso of Truth, Justice League Battle for Metropolis, and Houdini's Great Escape. Clearly, the park has a great ride lineup, and that's not really arguable, so why doesn't it rank higher on this list? Two important things come to mind, one being park appearance and the other being operations and reliability. Starting with the former, Six Flags Great Adventure isn't exactly an ugly park, and it actually does have some pretty parts, but other sections seem to be a bit run down and inconsistently taken care of. But the more important issue as of recent is the latter, aka slow operations and lots of downtime. With crews seemingly taking their sweet time to check restraints, you can be waiting in these lines for a pretty dang long time. And where reliability comes into play, which is very important here, is when you've got rides like King Ka, Jersey Devil, and Zumanjaro constantly going down. More recently, El Toro and Nitro have had their fair share of downtime also, which can be a pretty big nuisance. Because El Toro and Jersey Devil were indefinitely closed when I was in the area this year, and with those rides being the main reason I wanted to head back to the park, I didn't even bother with a visit in 2021. So with that being said, I look forward to returning in 2022 when the park is hopefully better off with everything running as normal. This is still a great park, and I'd recommend you all visit, so come with those things in mind and I'm sure you'll have a fun visit. But look out for ride closures and other inconveniences before you take the trek out here. Number 21, Knott's Berry Farm in Buena Park, California. One of my home parks, coming from a guy living in San Diego, is an absolutely awesome Cedar Fair park that I sometimes take for granted. Sure, I have plenty of nitpicks and minor complaints I could give Knott's, but deep down, I love it, you love it, I mean, come on, it's Knott's. In terms of atmosphere, this park excels and feels very lively both in the daytime and at nighttime. I'd also say my favorite section of the park is Ghost Town, which has an atmosphere unlike anywhere else in the rest of the park and is one of the reasons I'd classify this park as kind of half theme, half amusement park. In terms of rides, you've got a great roller coaster lineup, great water ride lineup, great dark ride lineup, and some decent flat rides. My personal favorites include Ghost Rider, Accelerator, Hang Time, Timber Mountain Long Ride, Calico Mine Ride, and Calico River Rapids. All of these rides are excellent in their own unique ways. The biggest downside with this park, and I'm sure you've all heard this one before, are definitely the operations. Even compared to other parks in the Cedar Fair chain, Knott's Berry Farm has some poor operations, particularly on Ghost Rider and Accelerator, which are arguably the two signature rides here. But as I've said in the past, the pros certainly outweigh the cons, which is why I am eternally grateful to have this place so close to home. Knott's is a great park and serves as a fantastic in-between compared to Disneyland and Magic Mountain. Number 20, Epcot in Orlando, Florida. The lowest ranked park on this list is still better than 99% of all other parks out there. While Epcot may be lagging behind the other parks at the Walt Disney World Resort, particularly in terms of ride lineup, that's all I can really knock them for. Even then, however, I absolutely loved Test Track, Soarin' Around the World was great too, Frozen Ever After is pretty fun, and Figment is the weirdest piece of shit I've ever ridden. Spaceship Earth is also a classic, though I do look forward to its renovation because parts of it do seem to be outdated. Along with that, all of Future World is undergoing renovation, so that whole section was filled with construction walls and it really wasn't pretty, so that could have also knocked Epcot down a little bit on this list. I will say, World Showcase more than makes up for this. I didn't get to explore a lot of it, but it's an unbelievable idea that they have here. The concept of getting a glimpse into other countries and cultures was a genius move for a land, and so checking out the area is something I'd strongly encourage you to do. Additionally, Epcot has some of the best food offerings in the entire resort. I'd personally recommend Sunshine Seasons. It looks like it would be basic park food at first, but then you try it and your mind is just blown. Now, the last thing I want to point out is that Epcot is undergoing a lot of future development. Obviously, I touched on the Future World refurbishment, but they also just opened Ratatouille, which looks amazing, and will debut their first roller coaster in 2022 with Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind. So I definitely keep your eye on Epcot. They seem to have a really bright future ahead, but as I sit right now, I couldn't find it in me to put them any higher on this list. Number 19, Carowinds in Charlotte, North Carolina and Fort Mill, South Carolina. The thing that makes this park most unique is the fact that it was built to celebrate both Carolinas. So to have giant roller coasters flying through numerous states in one ride is something that you will not find anywhere else in the US. Owned and operated by Cedar Fair, I've heard for the longest time that this is one of the company's flagship parks. And while I do agree with this statement, I can't say Carowinds impressed me as much as I was expecting. I would say it met expectations and it's a very good park, but it just seemed to lack the charm of a place like King's Dominion or Knott's Berry Farm. What What really makes Carowinds stand above the other parks, however, is the lineup of roller coasters. After visiting, I'm convinced that the park has one of the most complete selection of coasters anywhere in the world. Fury 325 is easily the park's signature attraction and is also one of the top 5 roller coasters I've ever experienced in my life. Following behind it is Copperhead Strike, Afterburn, and Intimidator, which are also all loads of fun. Something else that I found to be a bit interesting about this park is that they have a decent batch of underrated rides. Nighthawk, Vortex, and Hurler all weren't bad coasters, yet they receive a stupid amount of hate on social media. Maybe that's just me, but I thought that they did a nice job complimenting the park's big four. Anyways, Carowinds is a super nice park and is exactly what the Charlotte metro area deserves, considering their population and growth. And as I've said with many of the other parks on this list, Carowinds is not super easy to get to if you're on a coaster road trip. You're probably going to have to end up driving 4 or 3 hours, but it's definitely worth it if you're willing to make the drive. It is a really solid park, and Fury alone makes it more than worth it. Number 18, Six Flags Mexico in Mexico City. Yes, the country of Mexico has a park that was good enough to make this list. For those of you who don't know, I was fortunate enough to take a trip around Mexico earlier this year, and I got to visit multiple parks and check out some unbelievable architecture. One of my favorite things I got to do in the country was check out one of the world's greatest Six Flags parks. It's no surprise that this place gets so little recognition amongst coaster enthusiasts simply because it's way down in Mexico, but it's a park that I fell in love with after just one visit. The atmosphere and general appearance of this park is on a whole other level compared to most Six Flags parks. To complement this, they do happen to have what the chain is best known for, and that is a solid roller coaster collection. The top 2, easily, is Medusa Steel Coaster and Superman El Ultimo Escape, which are both currently in my top 20 coasters I've ever ridden. They also have a pretty decent supporting cast after that, with some fun flat rides and non-coasters as well. In terms of the park itself, I also just love the location. Mexico City is a huge city, it's very chaotic, but it's also beautiful in many ways, so just looking around as you head up the lift hills and taking it all in is so cool. Another thing I love about Six Flags Mexico is that they have some of the best operations in the Six Flags chain. None of the wait times here ever get long, and I think the biggest reason as to why is less about crowds and more about how the crews do an absolutely amazing job pumping out trains. So I could go on and on about how great this park is. They do virtually everything well for a corporate park, and if any of you ever take a trip to Mexico, this is a must-visit destination. Number 17, Busch Gardens Tampa in Tampa, Florida. I'll admit it, I used to have this park ranked a bit higher, and while I do still love it, it's hard to feed it that same praise with the operational faults it's had over the past year. First of all, you've got Iron Gwazi delayed for 2 years without telling us why, when, or what's happening. And also, when I attended on a Sunday in June, which is like peak tourism season, Cobra's Curse and Falcon's Fury were both down. Now this didn't bother me all too much because I had been to the park before in 2018 and had ridden all the major rides, but if this was my first visit to the park, I would not have been too happy with missing 3 of their marquee attractions. As far as strengths, Busch Gardens Tampa is chock full of beautiful immersive theming and a great all-around coaster collection. My personal favorites are Kumba, Montu, Shikra, and Cheetah Hunt. I think all of those rides are just fantastic. It also looks very well taken care of and very nicely presented overall. Additionally, it has some of that typically awesome SeaWorld entertainment food offerings, and all things considered, it's a large-scale park with tons of stuff going for it. So if you haven't been here before, check the maintenance schedule and plan accordingly, but as long as you keep that into consideration, you will have a great visit to this gorgeous theme park. Number 16, Busch Gardens Williamsburg in Williamsburg, Virginia. Being the Golden Ticket Award for the most beautiful theme park in the world is high praise and what I was anticipating the most from this park, to be honest. Obviously, we all know that the Golden Tickets can be full of shit and entirely inaccurate, but they were kind of right in this case. Not in a way where this is the most beautiful park ever, that's simply not true, but I do respect that they acknowledge the park's sheer beauty because that is a very strong suit of this place. To complement this, I absolutely loved all the different themed areas. My personal favorite was probably Germany with the incredible Alpengeist and a really cool restaurant called Das Festhaus. And moving on over to the ride lineup, I'd say this is about on par with the Tampa park. Currently, the park's best roller coaster is Pantheon, but that's still yet to open to the public, and that's just a fact. But behind it is Griffin, Verbolten, Apollo's Chariot, and the aforementioned Alpengeist. All of these are awesome rides. So generally speaking, I do like both Busch Gardens parks about evenly, but I think I just like the European theming a bit more than the African theming, and also this one just seemed to be ran better in the post-COVID amusement world. But both are great. Busch Gardens Williamsburg is a big thumbs up, and I'd highly recommend it. Number 15, Disney's California Adventure. Heading on over to California, we've got our first park from the Disneyland Resort, and this is a seriously impressive second gate. Considering the history of this park, and considering it had a pretty rough start at the beginning, it's amazing how Disney has turned it around. They have invested so much time and money into this place, making it really great, and from what I can gather, it's been more than worth it. What I will say is, I'm not gonna lie, the atmosphere of Disney's California Adventure and even some of the individual lands seem to be a bit less quality oriented than what you can find at the other Disney parks. Obviously, I can't really say this about Cars Land, Avengers Campus, and Grizzly Peak, those are all amazing, but the rest of the park really won't blow you away. Now what definitely will blow you away is the ride lineup here. There doesn't seem to be a clear #1 ride in the park, but they've got a multitude of high quality attractions to battle it out. One of them is Radiator Springs Racers, which is the anchor of the incredibly otherworldly Cars Land. Another is Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout, one of the best drop towers anywhere in the world if you even want to call it that. A personal favorite of mine also includes Soarin' Around the World, which is the same that you could find over at Epcot in Florida. Some other highlights: Incredicoaster is loads of fun, Grizzly River Run is an S-tier rapids ride, and Web Slingers is low-key one of the most underappreciated rides in the resort, even though it's new. So the only reason California Adventure doesn't rank higher on the list is because the atmosphere at the following parks are just unmatched by basically any other park in the world. I still love this place to death though, and I'm happy to say it's one of my home parks living in San Diego, California. Number 14, Magic Kingdom in Orlando, Florida. Not too long ago, I would have had California Adventure ranked ahead of this park, but after giving it some thought, I just really loved my experience at Magic Kingdom. I know it isn't the most popular amongst coaster enthusiasts, but come on, this is the most legendary Disney park in Florida, and the one that I would recommend everyone go to if they could only pick one of their parks. As you can faintly see, that is not because it's my favorite in the resort, but because it really encompasses what Disney parks are all about. The atmosphere is legitimately world-class, the themed sections are astonishing, the food is awesome, and the rides are great, although they could use a few more modern attractions. My personal favorites from the ride category include Pirates of the Caribbean, Haunted Mansion, Space Mountain, Splash Mountain, and Carousel of Progress, and I'm also sure Tron will have something to say when that opens at the park next year. So that's my take on Disney World's Castle Park. Guys, even if you hate to admit it, you love this place, I love this place, your grandmother loves this place, and that's just how Magic Kingdom rolls. Number 13, Disney's Hollywood Studios, also in Orlando, Florida. In terms of the park itself, excluding all the rides and Galaxy's Edge, this would probably rank at the bottom of the list. But what really makes Hollywood Studios worthwhile are all the incredible rides. I can't think of any other Disney park in Florida that has more e-ticket attractions than this one. For starters, this place has Star Wars Rise of the Resistance, which is freaking amazing. That is arguably the best individual ride on our entire planet. Surrounding Rise of the Resistance is the entire Galaxy's Edge section, which will absolutely blow you away. I swear to you guys, it really does feel like you step into another world, more so than any of the lands at any of the other Disney parks, except for maybe one that I can think of. My top recommendations for things to do in this land, obviously excluding Rise of the Resistance, would be drinking blue milk and getting a ride on Smuggler's Run in the pilot position. Those two experiences go together like peas in a pod, I'm telling you. Away from Galaxy's Edge, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway and Tower of Terror are absolutely outstanding. The former attraction feels like a total acid trip, and the latter remains in its OG form, aka the superior version of the ride. Some other noteworthy attractions include Star Tours, The Adventures Continue, Rock and Roller Coaster's Fun, Slinky Dog Dash, and much more. Disney, as of recent, has done an incredible job making this park grow, and it's very evident when you take a visit. Disney's Hollywood Studios is an absolute must-do on a theme park trip in Florida. Number 12, King's Dominion in Doswell, Virginia. This is a park that I first visited in 2018 and absolutely loved, but my memories of this place had started to diminish over time. So it was just this year when I got to attend the park once again, and I think I forgot just how phenomenal this place is. Having King's Dominion considerably above Carowinds, and above Carowinds really at all, is a pretty unpopular opinion. But to me, this park has a charm to it that very few Cedar Fair parks can counter with. Things like the historic singing mushrooms from Candy Apple Grove, you just don't see those things at other corporate parks. In addition to its character and also its beauty too, it has a fantastic collection of roller coasters. While my third favorite, Volcano the Blast Coaster, was taken out in 2018 due to mechanical issues, there's no denying that the top two more than makes up for it. Intimidator 305 and Twisted Timbers are both some of the best roller coasters I've ever ridden. The former is a speed and intensity powerhouse, and the second is an ejector airtime machine. I really don't think you can have a better 1-2 punch than King's Dominion. I also enjoy Dominator and Racer 75 for supporting rides. Those are both loads of fun, and they've got some nice flat rides to choose from as well. In typical Cedar Fair fashion, King's Dominion is also very nicely maintained and very well taken care of, with beautiful landscape to support the park's natural forestry. As rare as an opinion as this might be, I find King's Dominion to be the true best Virginian theme park if you can only choose one, so this is my personal go-to in the state. Number 11, Canada's Wonderland in Vaughan, Ontario, Canada. I find it kind of funny that this park is known in America for having a ton of crappy coasters. For those of you who have actually been to this park, I'm sure you know that it's obviously much more than that. But still, this park doesn't get talked about nearly enough. It has an atmosphere almost on par with what you can find at Cedar Point. It has a coaster collection so large that you'll need 2 days to get all the credits. It has the best flat ride lineup of basically any park I've been to, and of course, like most Cedar Fair parks, has nice operations, good food offerings, and actually, this park has some really cool theming in some sections attractions too. It's also just a beautiful park. Like, I could start with Wonder Mountain, that's a gorgeous centerpiece, and the layout around the park circles all the way around it and is loaded with pretty landscaping and tons of natural beauty as well. In terms of roller coasters, the most prominent ones are most definitely Leviathan, the B&M Giga Coaster, Behemoth, the B&M Hyper Coaster, and Yukon Striker, the B&M Dive Coaster. For each of their respective ride types, they are super solid attractions overall. As for flat rides, I got a real kick out of Skyhawk and Sledgehammer, which are both super unique, and a couple of the others were really fun to watch too. So all things considered, I think this place deserves more recognition than it gets. I understand that for those of you watching from the US, which is the vast majority of my viewers, you're gonna have to cross the border into Canada to get here. But there's no reason not to. As long as you have a passport, you can make a great visit out of Canada's Wonderland, Niagara Falls, etc, etc. Number 10, Knoebels in Elysburg, Pennsylvania. This is a really special park to me. Like, no other park in the US can even be remotely compared to this one. They don't even clock in this high for their ride lineup, which, as you'll find out in a second, is considerably worse than the other parks in the top 10. I mean, don't get me wrong, they still have some solid coasters and rides here, but the point I'm trying to make is you don't even need to ride anything here to have a great time. Something about the atmosphere, the history, the way this park is ran is just unlike so many other parks out there. What do I mean by this? Well, I'm glad you asked. Let's run down a quick list. Firstly, it's the largest free admission park. All you do is pay per ride. Much of the park is made of gravel paths, as is the parking lot, which, by the way, there is free parking here. Let's freaking go. There's also some amazing food options here. This park is won the Golden Ticket Award for best food in any park, and also so much diversity in these food offerings. And my personal favorite part about this is that it's all affordable. Not just the food too, a lot of things at Knoebels are really cheap. If you want to ride on the park's best coaster, Phoenix, an award winner, one of the best wooden coasters anywhere, you'll be paying just $3. This park also allows you to bring your pets inside. Like, I saw plenty of dogs hanging around here. You can also camp on site right on the perimeter of the park. And additionally, Knoebels has a classic ride lineup. Much of the rides were actually built by the park themselves. Flying Turns and Twister were two major ones that were designed and constructed by the park, and for the attractions that haven't had this fate, there's more likely a big history behind it. I mean, just look at the aforementioned Phoenix. That originally opened in 1948, not even in Pennsylvania, but in Texas of all places. Lastly, I touched on the atmosphere, but it's really something that makes this park super unique. The music that you hear throughout the place isn't the typical hip-hop stuff that you find at Six Flags and Cedar Fair parks. Here, it's old-timey, ragtime music. Like, take a listen to this stuff. Come on. Anyways, Knoebels will always hold a special place in my heart. It almost feels like a second home park to me. Like, I think I've been here 4 times. I don't even think I've been to any other out-of-state park more than that one. If you haven't been here before, of course, I'd highly recommend you do so. Number 9, Hershey Park in Hershey, Pennsylvania. While Knoebels is an amazing park for drastically different reasons than Hershey, this is the state's roller coaster capital. Hershey Park is where you're going to find some of the best coasters of any park in the world. Skyrush Wild Bipolar is my personal favorite ride in the park and is actually one of my top 3 coasters ever for sheer intensity. Candemonium and Storm Runner fall behind it as well and are also excellent rides, as is Fahrenheit, Great Bear, and Lightning Racer, all of which I find to be pretty underrated. This park also has a really good supporting lineup after the Big 6, including rides like Wildcat, Comet, Laugh Track, Super Duper Looper, and much more. Let me also just say that this is a really well taken care of park. It's covered in trees, it's landscaped very nicely, they also have some incredible food offerings here. I mean, clearly, with a name like Hershey Park, there better be some damn awesome eats and drinks here. My favorite thing to get inside the park would absolutely be the king-size milkshake. These are just absurd and not too unreasonably priced, actually. If you wander outside the park, you'll be greeted by Hershey's Chocolate World, which is a free-to-enter thing and also houses a dark ride to create your own chocolate bar machine and literally the world's largest Hershey products that you can actually buy. This is the kind of park that I shouldn't have to recommend to you guys. Like, we all know what it is, we all love it, and Hershey Park is easily one of the best amusement parks in the world. Number 8, Six Flags Fiesta Texas in San Antonio, Texas. This is what I would consider to be a perfect Six Flags park. I mean, it's very different from the others in so many ways. We'll start with the atmosphere. Yeah, this place nails it. I had the pleasure of visiting this park in the winter, and although it got really cold at night, the place looked beautiful with all the lights and had some incredible night rides on offer. My favorite overall rides here would be Iron Rattler. That thing is just incredible. Wonder Woman Golden Lasso coaster is also pretty insane. Superman Krypton coaster is the world's best B&M floorless coaster by a long shot. They also have a solid secondhand lineup with the new for 2022 dive coaster, Dr. Diabolical's Cliffhanger, and Goliath, and Poltergeist, and Roadrunner Express, and you get the point. Something I also love about this park is that they are built on the inside of a quarry wall, and it is beautiful. The park also uses it to their advantage by building elements on coasters that hop on and off the quarry, and sometimes there's also light projection shows that present on the wall itself. Along with this, I really dig their non-coaster collection here as well. Their Log Flume Bugs' Whitewater Rapids is a blast, and their Dark Ride Pirates of the Deep Sea is super unique for what you'd find at a Six Flags. Every single one of you watching should make it a point to visit this park if you find yourself ever in Texas, because if I haven't made it clear enough, this is the state's flagship park by a long shot. Number 7, Six Flags Magic Mountain in Valencia, California. I'm not shy to say that I used to have this park higher on this list, and in terms of flat-out amusement parks, it's still my number 2 location anywhere. This year, however, I've gotten around to so many theme parks that really throw Magic Mountain under the bus a little bit, but nonetheless, I'm excited to shine some light on it. This is the park I describe to be the closest to Cedar Point anywhere in the world. The atmosphere and feel of the place gives you the vibe that you are in roller coaster heaven, which is basically true. The predominant reason why Magic Mountain ranks this high is for the roller coaster collection. It's a stupidly long list, but my favorites are X2, Twisted Colossus, Tatsu, Full Throttle, Apocalypse, West Coast Racers, Batman, Riddler's Revenge, Viper, Superman. Basically everything here is one of my favorites apparently. Let's also not forget that this is the park with more roller coasters than any other in the world. Currently they are at 19, and next year they will become the first park in the world to break 20 with the addition of the tallest, fastest, and longest single rail Raptor coaster by RMC. Branching off of the coasters, let me just also say that this is a really pretty park. Like sure, there are sections that are less impressive than others, but I love how this place is built into a terrain and is literally covered by trees. I've also been here enough to where I know the best places to eat, shortcuts to get through the park, and also how to avoid much of the lines. So basically, I'm always able to have an incredible experience here, being that it's one of my home parks. Matter of fact, I don't think I've ever had a bad one, and I've also been here just dozens of times, so you'd think that I'd have at least one bad experience. But I love this place so much. Don't believe in the Six Flags stereotypes when you come here, because I'm telling you, Magic Mountain is just another Cedar Point. Number 6, Disney's Animal Kingdom in Orlando, Florida. At last, we've made it to what is my favorite Disney park in Florida by a pretty long shot. Funny enough, this was the park I spent the least amount of time in, but 5 hours was still plenty enough of time for my mind to just be blown. There is so much to talk about here to where I struggle to even begin, but one specific thing about this park that will leave you shocked out of proportions is none other than Pandora, the World of Avatar. As of now, this is my favorite individual section of any theme park, yes, above Galaxy's Edge, and yes, above Hogsmeade over at the Universal parks. Never in my life have I felt more immersed in a land than I did here, and the same can absolutely be said about the area's 2 attractions also. Both Avatar Flight of Passage and Navi River Journey are 2 rides that I consider to be e-tickets, but talking about the former a bit more, Flight of Passage is one of the most amazing rides anywhere on Earth. If not Rise of the Resistance, I can almost guarantee that this will be the most unreal attraction you experience in the entire resort. Stepping aside from Pandora, the Asia section is also wonderful, as is the anchoring attraction of the land being Expedition Everest. Let's also not forget to include the park's gorgeous centerpiece being the Tree of Life. That is just beautiful. One last thing I have to mention is that this is one of the most beautiful parks maybe in the entire world. None of it seems artificial, and it feels so incredibly different than the other Disney parks. So it hasn't even been more than 3 months since I've been here, and I'm already itching to get back to this amazing place. Once again, Animal Kingdom is, by a significantly long shot, my favorite park in the Disney World Resort. Number 5, Dollywood in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. This is a park that I'd consider to be perfect. Get ready for the long list, guys. You all know the drill. You have your great lineup of roller coasters, fantastic theming, entertainment options and shows, great food variety, excellent food quality, wonderful staff, beautiful landscaping, all in a gorgeous terrain setting that is all basically a national park. Does a theme park really get better than this? Because I'm not so sure. For thrill seekers, Lightning Rod will knock your socks off, as will Thunderhead and Tennessee Tornado, and Wild Eagle is also a pretty enjoyable ride as well. I was also pleasantly surprised by Mystery Mine, Dragon Flyer, and Blazing Fury, meaning every single non-kiddie coaster here impressed me, seriously. I mean, come on, talk about quality over quantity, guys. Now, of course, you've also got to try the cinnamon bread when you come here. It is absolutely amazing and worth the hassle of getting a loaf. I also must say, Dollywood has some great operations and do a great job opening their rides right on time or right after the weather clears up if it's spotty. Truly, I find this park to be perfect. There's so many things to touch on, and I wish I could talk about more, but I'm serious when I say this video would never end. But in my mind, there's not a single thing you could do to improve Dollywood. I only have 4 other parks higher because those other 4 parks go above the 10 out of 10 line for me, but if you haven't gotten out to Dollywood already, take the trip to Tennessee and make it happen. Number 4, Silver Dollar City in Branson, Missouri. Owned and operated by the same company as Dollywood, I got to visit its sister park about a month later and was surprised by how different it was. Dollywood feels very themed, but also pretty modern in some areas, while Silver Dollar City is more of an 1880s old-timey version of what that would be like the whole way through. It's all elaborately themed, there's details at every corner, and you will just get lost in the immersion here, I assure you. Now, the question many of you are probably wondering is, why do I rank Silver Dollar City over Dollywood? To me, the answer is clear, and it's the absolutely incredible cave tour. This is something that Dollywood does not have, and it's the reason this park exists in in the first place. The fact that this can be found in a theme park and is free with admission is unbelievable. This is a must-do attraction when you're at the park. To combat Dollywood's roller coaster collection, Outlaw Run and Time Traveler here are your two standouts. These two rides could not be any more different from one another, but they are both phenomenal thrill coasters. Closely behind these two are Wildfire and Powder Keg, which are both loads of fun, and like Dollywood, they have a great supporting collection too. Thunderation is the best aero mine train coaster in the world, and Fire in the Hole is an impressive dark ride roller coaster hybrid that is almost identical to Blazing Fury at Dollywood. This park also has some long gone classics that used to exist at Dollywood, like Flooded Mine and Grandfather's Mansion. These are both fantastic old school attractions that never get any wait time, so I'd highly recommend them. But all around, Silver Dollar City is an elite world-class theme park, and one that I'd recommend everyone watching to visit at some point in their life. Number 3, Universal's Islands Adventure in Orlando, Florida. I don't think this park needs much of an introduction to coaster or theme park enthusiasts. Quite honestly, this place has the best dark ride roller coaster mix match of any park in the world. Velocicoaster is my favorite ride here and is also one of the best coasters anywhere on Earth. Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey is also an exceptional ride with its super unique technology and amazing theming. I also love Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure and the Incredible Hulk Coaster, which are two extremely well-rounded coaster experiences in their own right. Additionally, for dark rides, Skull Island Reign of Kong blew my expectations out of the water, as did Spider-Man. Both are just phenomenal. For water rides, you have 3 of the best in the world here, and some of the best of their own ride genres. Popeyes is by far my favorite and wettest rapids ride I've ever seen. Dudley Do-Rights is an elite log flume, and Jurassic Park is an immensely themed boat ride attraction. So those are the rides you're going to want to make sure to experience when you come here, and as you can see, this park has been spoiled with a ridiculous amount of S-tier coasters, dark rides, and water rides. I also find that Islands of Adventure has an otherworldly atmosphere with some of the world's best operations just behind the Disney parks. I also appreciate their free locker system, proving that safety really is their #1 priority without taking any extra cash from your wallet. As of right now, this is my personal favorite theme park in Florida, and I do not see that changing anytime soon. If you're taking a trip around the state, you'd be crazy not to stop here. This is a phenomenal theme park. Number 2, Cedar Point in Sandusky, Ohio. As with Islands of Adventure, I don't think this place needs much of an introduction. This is, by a long shot, the best amusement park anywhere on Earth. It's a beautiful park located on the Lake Erie Peninsula, all surrounded by water, and the perimeter even offers a beach. Cedar Point also utilizes great operations, good food options, pretty landscaping, and of course the thing you were just waiting to hear, the roller coasters. There is a reason why this park is commonly referred to as the coaster capital in the world. They currently have 16 on offer, rest in peace Wicked Twister, and this is without question the best collection of coasters of any single amusement park. The standouts, aka the Big Four, which are some of the best rides ever, are Steel Vengeance, an RMC Hyper Hybrid Coaster, Maverick, an Intamin Blitz Coaster, Top Thrill Dragster, an Intamin 400-foot Strata Coaster, and Millennium Forest, the original Intamin Giga Coaster, and still a kick-ass ride. All of these coasters crack my top, 16 overall coasters list, and I'm sure most of you can agree with that. I'm also able to get a kick out of Magnum, the original Hyper Coaster, Raptor, a super intense B&M invert, Gatekeeper, a beautiful B&M wing coaster, and Rougarou, an underrated B&M floorless coaster. Lastly, I've got to mention Gemini and Blue Streak, which are also a lot of fun as well, and Valraven is also here too, which makes for a pretty decent supporting credit also. So if it hasn't been clear enough already, the coasters are why this park is as well known as it is. It is forever a legend in the community of roller coasters, and if you haven't been here yet, you know what you gotta do. I mean, when I hear that enthusiasts haven't been in this park, I'm just surprised, because this is like the epitome of roller coaster heaven. This is the park that all of you watching have to get to, and that's just a fact. I really have nothing else to say. With that being said, this may be my favorite amusement park, but not my favorite theme park, so let's move on to the #1 spot. Number 1, Disneyland. The park that started it all and the one that encompasses Walt Disney's vision better than any other. Something about Disneyland just feels different. They say it's the most magical place on Earth, and when I was younger I thought that was bullshit, but I mean, come on, we all did. But here I am telling you guys as a hardcore Disney Parks fan that you will feel every bit of that magic advertised at Disneyland. More so than Magic Kingdom, more so than any other Disney parks, you feel like you're really stepping into Walt Disney's imagination. Divided by numerous lands, mostly of the same themes that you'll find at the Castle Park in Florida, these are all elaborately themed and incredibly well taken care of. Best of all, they each have their own noteworthy attractions, and that also includes Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. It is the exact same land that exists over at Hollywood Studios with a couple minor differences. Yes, this includes Rise of the Resistance, yes, it includes Smuggler's Run, yes, it includes Blue Milk, yes, everything is here. Now before we touch on the rides, let me just say that Disneyland knows how to handle crowds. The capacity and operations on virtually all the rides here are on another level compared to other parks. If you end up waiting 45 minutes for a dark ride or a roller coaster, my money's on the wait time being over-advertised and the fact that you'll never stop moving in that line. Additionally, you've got your typically awesome Disney park food and characteristic atmosphere, but what makes this park rise above the rest more so than anything else is the rides. I am a firm believer that Disneyland in itself might have the best collection of rides anywhere in the world. I've mentioned Star Wars Rise of the Resistance, which again is arguably the most immersive ride on Earth, and Smuggler's Run is amazing too. But that's not even the tip of the iceberg with this park's ride collection. You've also got numerous other e-ticket attractions like Indiana Jones Adventure, Pirates of the Caribbean, Space Mountain, Splash Mountain, Haunted Mansion, Matterhorn, and the list carries on. By the way, all these rides that you can find at Magic Kingdom too, these are the best versions of these rides. And it doesn't end there. For a secondhand lineup, look no further than Fantasyland with Mr. Toad, Snow White, Pinocchio's Daring Journey, Peter Pan, Alice in Wonderland. These are all awesome classic rides. And some more extras: Thunder Mountain's fun, Roger Rabbit is underrated, Winnie the Pooh is a sleeper hit, and soon to be coming, the Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway ride from Hollywood Studios is going to be awesome. So I'm telling you guys, the sheer quality and quantity of the rides I just mentioned should say a thing or two about how unreal the park is in itself. For me personally, the things I've mentioned above are what make this park my favorite anywhere in the world, and for that I can't help but recommend this place to any of you who are even remotely interested into theme parks. Disneyland is a magical place that is unlike anywhere else in the world. There we have it, guys, the top 30 theme parks I've been to. As you could probably tell, the different factors of what make a theme park or amusement park great has made it quite difficult to stack them up against each other. But nonetheless, I hope you all got a kick out of it and can at least respect my rankings. If your list differs, I would love to see some comments and discussions flowing down below, and I'll try to interact with as many of you guys to the best of my ability. Now, with that being said, I hope you all enjoyed the video a lot. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye, guys.